21 Lok Sabha seats are at stake in Odisha, a state where Naveen Patnaik has been the most dominant political figure for the past 19 years. His Biju Janata Dal won by a landslide in both the assembly and parliamentary elections in 2014. Thanks for joining us. I'm Harsha Subramaniam. The question we're asking, can the BJP break into Naveen Patnaik's stronghold? How will the state politics of Patnaik influence the Game of Thrones in New Delhi? To discuss that, we're joined by Rajesh Mahapatra, former editor-at-large at Hindustan Times, senior journalist. Also joining us, Sandeep Sahu, senior journalist. Gentlemen, many thanks indeed for joining us, both of you. Mr. Mahapatra, let me start with you. In 2014, the Biju Janata Dal swept the state by winning 20 out of 21 seats and a remarkable 44% vote share. Much has changed in the last 5 years. Does Naveen Patnaik's BJD still have an edge in these elections?
It would seem that they still have an edge, more so because the late resurgence of BJP has made the contest triangular in many parts of the state. So I would like to believe that Naveen has an edge, but it is significantly dented.
Okay. Sure. Mr. Mahapatra, you know, the arrival of Bajayant Panda, a former founding member of the Biju Janata Dal, who's recently joined the BJP. Two questions. A, what are his prospects? And does Mr. Panda's entry into the BJP change the dynamics of the game in any sense?
My first impression that I had gone on record saying that I had thought that it would have minimum impact on the prospects of BJP, but I would acknowledge that I was wrong. It did change the dynamics, primarily in terms of shifting the narrative in a big way in favor of BJP. And Bajayant Panda didn't come to BJP alone. Bajayant Panda, there were several disgruntled elements within BJP who had left the party and were looking to float, so to say, an independent regional outfit. They were in talks with Congress. They were also in talks with BJP. I think what Jeb Panda managed to do, he kind of managed to swung that segment in favor of BJP. And to that extent, and given the fact that he also had kind of an owner of, is a promoter of a television channel, which is the #1 television news channel in Odisha and has got probably, I would like to believe, more than half of the market share. It did help BJP a great deal in terms of disseminating the narrative it wanted to disseminate in Odisha. Having said that, it's very unclear because I have held this as I went around the state. I heard a lot of vocal supporters of BJP, and at many places in street corners, you would have people very openly talking about how they are going to vote for BJP. I think Mr. Modi's attempt to do a post-Pulwama nationalist or stoking the nationalist sentiments also did have an impact in urban areas and in certain rural areas also in Odisha. Okay. So all of that kind of BJP managed to cash in on. But having said that, we do not know. There is a significant segment of the Odisha electorate which one could say the silent voter base, which is primarily the Dalits, the tribals who make up for 40%, and the women. Now, this is, if you do the arithmetic, this is about, we're talking about 65%. Okay. We don't really know which way this 65% has swung.
Okay, that brings me to my next question. Mr. Sahu, if you can take this. The Biju Janata Dal's campaign has been heavily centered around Naveen Patnaik. His policies have been focused on the rural voter, and as Mr. Mahapatra mentions, that has a huge support of women voters. What are the major issues in this election? Is he fighting anti-incumbency, and how is he sort of tackling the new rejuvenated BJP under with the entry of Mr. Bajayant Panda?
There is no doubt that there is a certain amount of anti-incumbency this time, but it has nothing to do with Naveen Patnaik, the leader himself. The people are still love him, and as a leader, he is the most acceptable leader for most people in Odisha. But the anti-incumbency primarily comes from the fact that many of his MLAs and MPs and ministers and local party leaders have actually lost the trust of the people, and they have, in fact, many of them have incurred the wrath of the people because they haven't really been with the people and at the time of their need. So there is a lot of anger against the local representative, but not much against the leader. So we will have to see whether the personal popularity of Naveen Patnaik and his own image and his own equation with the electorate will be good enough to tide over this anti-incumbency of his party leaders at the local level.
Okay. Mr. Mahapatra, there is also a view that the BJP will perhaps do better or improve its tally in the Lok Sabha, but Naveen Patnaik will still manage to retain the state. Would that be an accurate assessment?
Well, look, BJP has an uphill task. What we have to figure out, we have to understand, BJP won only 10 seats in the last assembly election. They won only one Lok Sabha seat. They had 18% votes in assembly segments and 21% votes in Lok Sabha elections. The Congress had 26% votes in the Lok Sabha segment and 25% votes in assembly. The BJD had 44%, as you maintain. Now, look, if you really are saying that we are in a position to take on the BJD, which means that from 21, you really have to go up to 35, 36. And pin your hopes that the Congress vote share will go down from 26 to 20, and Naveen Patnaik's vote share will go down from 44 to 35, 34%. It is only then you kind of come into formidable contest in several places, which they have. They have come into formidable contest in many places. My assessment is this: the BJP will see a significant increase in its vote share compared to 2014. But will that translate into seats? It is very difficult to say this. So therefore, I am putting it this way, that there are two extreme scenarios. That either the BJP will do very well in terms of increasing its vote share and yet see that improvement not translate into winning more seats, in which case BJP would stay limited to winning some 4 to 5 seats. Congress would win 1 to 2 seats. Maybe that tally might also go up to 3 seats. Because you see, there is a lot of undercurrent in favor of the Congress in many places, which, because the Congress doesn't have any media, because the Congress did not run an aggressive campaign, people don't talk about it. But on the ground, there are many places, and you will see some surprises that will work in favor of Congress in some of the places. So my assessment is this, that in scenario 1, BJP stays limited to 4 to 5 seats, Congress wins a couple seats, and Naveen still manages to retain about 13 to 14 Lok Sabha seats.
Okay.
That's
Sandeep Sahu, you want to respond to that? Do you see the Congress, in a sense, coming back in some form, and the factor of Jay Panda in the BJP?
Yeah. There is no doubt that the BJP has come up in a big way this election, and it's certain that they are going to substantially add to the number of seats they had both in the Assembly and the Lok Sabha. And it has come primarily at the expense of the Congress vote share, which has put it in a position where it can put up a real challenge to Naveen Patnaik. But this time I see a distinct new trend which has not been seen earlier elections. Odisha has generally tended to go with the same party whenever Lok Sabha and Assembly elections have been held together. But this time, wherever I have gone and whoever I have talked to, I get the distinct feeling that the people will, most people who would vote for BJD, they would rather have BJP at the center. That means the NDA government headed by Modi. So there is a split voting which is distinctly visible this time, and that could mean a number of seats in the BJP kitty in the Lok Sabha election,
Okay.
but not so much in the assembly elections. I think my assessment is Naveen Patnaik still looks good to get a fifth successive term in office, but he will have to concede a lot of Lok Sabha seats that he won last time.
Okay.
He won 22. He's going to suffer some losses on that front.
Okay, that's an interesting point to make. Mr. Mahapatra, we'll talk about the cyclone Fani that caused much devastation to the state. It is believed that the state government acted swiftly in containing the damage. What is the ground reality? Has it affected the elections, or can it affect the poll outcome in any manner?
No, the cyclone Fani hit after the polls were over, and I think that the state government handled the evacuation very swiftly and managed the cyclone. It's a creation of people sitting in Delhi and probably also sitting in New York, because the New York Times did change the narrative. I think there is very limited understanding of how to go about covering cyclones. We have gone past that era where people no longer die of famine or starvation deaths, but that doesn't mean that chronic hunger is not there. Similarly, you see, evacuating people in a poor state is not a. I mean, it's definitely a commendable job, but it's not something that you cannot do. I think the government has miserably failed to prevent the damage, and more importantly, act quickly to restore normalcy, as well as bring about interventions that would restore livelihoods, because hundreds of thousands of livelihoods are threatened to be destroyed. So I don't buy that argument that they have moved in very swiftly. I think it has exposed the inherent limitations of a bureaucracy-driven government as to what extent it can intervene. As we speak, the state capital is still not has still not got electricity 100%. Okay. It took them 7 days to get the first transformer up and running in Bhubaneswar. That's, and Bhubaneswar is built as a smart city. That is not acceptable.
The politics of this, Mr. Mahapatra, I'm sorry I'm bringing back to the politics of this. The key question is, in a post-poll scenario, which way is Naveen Patnaik likely to swing if there is a hung parliament? I'm bringing this up because he's gone on record to say that any party or coalition that supports the development and just claims of Odisha will have our support. Let's in fact listen into what Naveen Patnaik had to say.
My my interest is to stay here and to see to the state's development and welfare. I have no national ambitions. Any party or coalition who supports the development and the
I brought in Cyclone Fani and its impact is that Prime Minister Modi has also recently lauded Naveen Babu's efforts in handling the cyclone. The larger question, Mr. Sahu, will Naveen Patnaik be open to supporting a BJP-led government at the centre, or at least is he leaning towards supporting the BJP or the NDA if the situation arises? Mr. Sahu.
Of course, it is more than likely. In fact, if you observe the BJP's stand vis-a-vis the NDA government and Modi government over the last 5 years, you'll see that while he has continued with his rhetoric of equidistance with both BJP and Congress, in effect, it has actually supported the Modi government whenever it has needed support in parliament or even outside. On most legislative issues or controversial issues, it has backed the Modi government, whether it is demonetization, the NRC, the presidential election, whatever. So I definitely see the BJP backing NDA government. The chances of that, I think, is more than BJP backing a Congress-led coalition, though Kamalnath apparently had a chat with Naveen Patnaik the other day about the possibilities of Hunt says he will prefer to go with the NDA rather than the Congress.
Would you agree to that, Mr. Mahapatra? And if there's a hung parliament, how can Naveen Patnaik reconcile the bitter fight that he's fighting in the state with the BJP and ally with them at the centre?
I would never make the mistake of predicting Naveen Patnaik, especially when it comes to his political moves. But what one can say is Naveen excels in the art of waiting out, holding back until the last minute. And he will do that again. He will hold on till he gets clarity as to who is going to form the government. And whoever is in a position to form the government, he will go with it. He is a politician who has friends on both sides and is very comfortable in going with either side. And he will wait and watch. He would like to be on the side of the party that forms the government because he badly needs a bailout once the new government is formed, because he has withdrawn money from the contingency fund, 1,270 crore by now. The state finances are in a bad shape. Now that a devastating cyclone has hit, he needs to be on the right side of whoever forms the government. So what he would like to do, therefore, he is going to wait out. You will see in the game, and which is we expect it to go down the wire, and you will see Naveen Patnaik is the last one who will to bleed. He will wait to see who is going to form the government, and he will go with that person.
Okay. Rajesh, Mahapatra, Sandeep, Sahu, many thanks indeed for joining us with your perspectives. That's the situation in Odisha and the influence it might have in the government that forms in New Delhi. If you have been, thank you so much for watching.